Well, welcome to this dinner in honor of Barbara's retirement. It's really amazing how many of you could make it here, and I'm especially impressed by the number of people who've traveled long distances to be here. I've been telling some of you there's a poster outside, but near where you came in, with Barbara's picture on it, and we're trying to get as many people as possible to sign it. So, excuse me. So if you haven't already, at some point during dinner, wander out there and sign it to beat the rush as people are heading out at the end. Excuse me. Retirement dinners can sometimes be a bit maudlin. You know, people will give moving little talks about how wonderful the honoree is and how much she'll be missed. So I figured I'd get the maudlin part out of the way really soon so we can move on to other things. So here's the maudlin part. This is a cover of a book Barbara and I wrote. Barbara has been a colleague. Later, we're going to have a picture of everybody who had any connection to 6170. I should say, during the course of the dinner, at various times, I'll be asking groups to go outside the door, and we'll take group pictures of various groups that might be of interest to Barbara. Barbara's been a colleague and, more importantly, an incredibly close friend for about 35 years now to me. Probably the main reason I love going to work, and I can say this since some of my students are here, none of my current students, is that I get to talk with Barbara every day. And we talk about all sorts of things, things you might not have thought professors would talk about. We gossip. It's a lot of fun. Barbara is probably the most incisive thinker I've ever known. Nobody is better than Barbara at getting to the heart of a matter. Those of you who know a researcher are familiar with the quality of her thinking. I've been privileged to see this quality and this incisive mind in lots of other domains, ranging from academic administration, which, believe it or not, sometimes requires incisive thinking, not often, to politics, to friendship. And it's been a great thing, and Barbara's had an enormous impact on me, and thank you very much for everything, Barbara. All right, so much for maudlin. All right, so we're here to honor Barbara. You might be surprised that we're not the only ones who think highly of her. She has been honored before from time to time. So here are just a small subset of the honors she's received. Here's a picture of Barbara celebrating her Turing Award. Now, I should probably point out that she was so confident that she would one day win it that she celebrated quite early. However, just in case she's feeling smug about this award, I want to point out that you can buy a copy of her picture and her magazine for $3.38. And I didn't even shop around for it. So I wondered why this is so cheap, so inexpensive. And I attribute it to the ACM having chosen the wrong cover photo of Barbara. So if you spent some time watching the slideshow outside, you know that there are far more interesting choices they could have used. And by the way, Nate, thank you very much for putting together the slideshow. I apologize for not including all 535 pictures. But they're really very nice. Anyway, at the time I was putting this talk together, I didn't have Nate's slideshow. So I decided to use Google search to try and find a better image. So if you do Google search, I kid you not, this is what comes up. And you can see there are clearly some images that might have been better than the one they used. I'm particularly fond of those two. You know, who knew that Barbara had a side career as a nun? You know, you learn something new about people every day. So these were pretty good, but having seen all the ads on television, I knew I should try Bing. So I tried Bing, and this is what came up. And I particularly like this photo, which I thought was probably the one she should have used. But in looking at these photos, I also noticed that there were other things you could click on. And I thought, okay, we have a nun. She probably has principles. I was told that nuns had principles. So let's see what her principles are. And if you click on that, this is what you get. Now, there are probably those of you who think I'm making this up or I use Photoshop. No. In the unlikely event any of you have an internet-enabled device, you can actually check this out yourself. Go to Bing, hit that button, and you will see this lovely picture. The other thing you might or might not notice is the author, whose name is hard to read, but it's somebody D. Patterson, I think. All right. Any rate, people asked me before dinner, why did Barbara retire? You know, and that's a really good question. So I've been thinking about it. And one possibility is she wanted to be able to spend more time sitting on the porch playing cards. You know, a quiet, sedentary life. More likely, she wants to work on her golf game, I think. So some of you who know Nate might know that he does play golf from time to time. And I'm hoping that now that Barbara's retired, she will indulge Nate's desire for a partner. In fact, Nate is probably hoping she won't. Or maybe she just wants to travel the world accepting awards, which she's gotten rather good at doing lately. Somehow none of these seemed right. So I thought maybe if we looked at a sampling of other famous people who retired this year, and we could ask why they did it, and maybe Barbara shares. So John Dingell, some of you know, Derek Jeter, Jay Rockefeller. Michelle Bachmann retired this year. And so I thought we'd do a poll as which of these people had a career that most closely resembles Barbara's. Now, you might wonder how we're going to do this poll. And thanks to Jeanette Wing, Microsoft has included a mind reader in the new version of PowerPoint. And so if every one of you thinks really hard about which of these four people you think most resemble Barbara, in a minute we'll get the tallies. So take 10 seconds, think really hard. And now we'll see what the votes say. So let's see. So I kind of would like to know who thinks Barbara's like Michelle Bachmann. Nate, was it you? No? Nate is a big Michelle Bachmann fan. But you may notice this doesn't add up to the number of people in this room. So fortunately, this has a feature where you can think hard and a name that's not on the list will go. So we'll try it again. And now we'll see another name appear. Well, this seems like the right name. In fact, Barbara is like Mike. Michael Jordan retired in 1993 and post-retirement won 3 consecutive NBA titles. And so Barbara Liskov retired in 2014, and I suspect will, post-retirement, write at least 3, probably more, seminal papers. So yes, Barbara is like Mike. So drawn to scale, here's my prediction of what Barbara will be doing post-retirement. Maybe the scale of the golf is a little too big, but I think Miranda will get an awful lot of Barbara's time. And I think her blackboard will get a lot, too. So I should say we're pleased tonight to have so